Hi, my name is Noma. Welcome to episode 15 of the Bigger Than Life Knits podcast. So today we do have quite a bit to cover. I've got 4 patterns that I've launched already since the last podcast, some new FOs, and a huge blunder that I made with a big project. And I do have a couple of 4 designs that I'm already working on and a couple of things in the pipeline. So let's get started. The first thing I would like to talk about is what I'm wearing today. So I'll also be putting some pictures on the side because I don't think you can see this clearly. What I'm wearing today is the Phakama Cardigan. The cardigan is worked from the top down, and as you can see, it's got blocks of different colors. Actually, I used intarsia to knit this project. I didn't work it in pieces. If you'll notice, the back is black on the side and it's beige on the other side. So I was alternating colors. I've got beige, black, and the sides beige and black, and the sleeves are the opposites of the front. I wanted the front to kind of have a bit of some impact, so when you're looking at it from the back, the colors of the sleeve match the back. This wasn't a complicated project to knit at all, because when you're just working on the back, for instance, you're just working with 2 colors before you join the back and the front, and then you pick up stitches for one side and you pick up for the other. So when you join, you only have 4 balls of yarn, but one ball just works one section, and then you join the next one, you twist the yarn with the next one, and then you work each piece with a different ball of yarn, and you just twist them like this, so that there are no gaps between your work. So I noticed that the yarn didn't tangle as much as it does when I'm working on some colorwork projects. Sometimes even with 2 colors, I get more tangling than I did with 4 balls of yarn on this one. So it was quite an easy one to knit, and I was using an Aran weight yarn on 4.5mm needles, and the button band is a double knit button band, and I was using 3.25mm needles on this one, and I got some black buttons. So I wanted the buttons to be at least one color of the cardigan, and I didn't want them to be the lighter color, because once I've closed this cardi, as you can see, the beige color would have popped. So I stuck with the black so that you can't even see the buttons so clearly, and I'm really happy with the results. I've worn this quite a bit. So for those who are watching this for the first time, I live in Johannesburg, South Africa, so we're in the middle of winter right now, and this cardigan has been coming in handy. Our winters are not that bad, but our homes are poorly insulated somehow. So you need some space heaters to heat up the space, or you have to spend a lot to really get the whole setup done for the entire house. So we normally have to dress warmly when we're in the house. Just by wearing something, I think, long sleeved, and this, I can be okay in the house. So our houses, I think, they are mainly built for the summer, really, and it's a bit of a challenge sometimes to stay very warm, but I've been able to do that with my knits, fortunately, and this has worked just fine as well. As long as I wear it with something long sleeve, then I'm quite warm in the house. The pattern is available on Ravelry and Etsy, so if you're interested in this cardigan, you can check it out on Ravelry or Etsy. Now I'll just talk briefly about the 2 items that I launched last month, because I had already spoken about them when I did the previous episode, but the socks were not done, so I'll show them to you just now. The first item that I launched last month, I think I was already done with this one, but it was still in testing, is the Thatego top. So with this one, as I mentioned, I wanted it to have a very feminine finish and have this ruffled front, so that it has this rounded shape on the bust. I'll include some photos for this one as well. And then the ruched sleeves really give it a very feminine finish, and I wanted this because, with just the straps, then you'll have to use a strapless bra, but just by adding these little ruched sleeves here, I'm able to wear this with a regular bra, and it doesn't show through. So it's a bra strap friendly top, and honestly I'd like to do one in black, and I still have a bit of some time before summer starts. I think if I can get it ready before November or even mid-October, that will be fine. So this is the Thatego top. It's already available on Ravelry and Etsy. And the other top, that the socks that I also launched at the same time as the top, the Zwanga Socks. So the name Zwanga is a vendor name. It's one of the official languages in South Africa, Tshivenda. So the name Zwanga means mine, but you know, when you're saying something is mine, it's just a basic way of showing possession of something. But the name Zwanga goes a bit further, because it's more about how you feel about that possession and how much it means to you. So it somehow goes a little bit beyond just something being yours. So when you say Zwanga, it's something that you're really proud to own and you're excited to own. And this is how these socks look, and I'm so excited to have them in my wardrobe. I couldn't wear them before showing them on the podcast, so I'll probably be wearing them tomorrow. This is how they look like. The cable and lace pattern is on the outer edge of the foot, and it's the same with the other one. So when you're knitting the pattern, the instructions are a bit different for the left foot and the right foot. Let me show it like this. So this was a bit of a challenging pattern to write, because each size has got different instructions. And contrary to popular belief, writing socks sometimes is not just plugging numbers into the instructions. It takes quite a bit to make sure that everything fits well on the instructions, so that when you're knitting, the pattern just flows seamlessly from the top to the bottom of the foot, and it works the same way with all sizes. So it was quite a bit of some work to get this one ready and done. So the next items that I launched on Thursday is the orange groove top. It's a colorwork piece, as you can see it. Okay, it's reflecting the light kind of badly. I hope you can see it, but I'll include some photos. So I worked this with Nurturing Fibers Eco Cotton. Oh, sorry, the socks were worked with Nurturing Fibers as well, with Super Twist sock, and the color is Sunlit Kelp. And then the top is also Nurturing Fibers, but the yarn that I used for this project is Eco Cotton, and the color is Vanilla for the main color, and then I've got Patina, Blush, Charcoal, and Sahara. So the last time I shot this project, I worked down to the to separating the sleeves, and I was working on the body here, but I ran out of yarn. I think let me see, somewhere here, that's when I ran out of yarn. And then I ordered some balls of yarn. I ordered 3. I only needed 2, but I wanted to be on the safe side, so I ordered 3 balls of yarn. And when I started knitting, I realized that the shade was so different. And here we're talking about vanilla, which is like an off-white and very basic, but the shade was so different. When I was done knitting, there was this demarcation line, and I didn't really have a choice but to continue knitting. So I was thinking that maybe something went wrong with the dyeing, because it looked kind of like it was a bit dirty, and I thought that maybe if I wash it, it's going to go away. And then I washed it, and it didn't go away. So I was very worried. I remember it was on a Sunday when I was working on, when I finished this, and I was holding it in the sink with some bleach in the water. I lightly bleached the water because I was scared that it was gonna get damaged. So I bleached it a bit at the bottom. I was holding it like this so that the colorwork won't get into the sink of water. And when I was done, the color it was patchy when I was done washing before it dried, and then when it dried up, it was nice and even. You can't see that you can't see that line at all. I'll include some pictures of this one as well. So I was really happy with how that turned out, but I was so glad that this happened with some cotton yarn. Had it been any other fiber, there's no way I would have tried to bleach it. And that was very daring to even try. I don't think I'll ever do this again, but at least it was an off-white shade, so I could pull it off and get away with it. But if it had been any other solid color, I wouldn't have done this. So I was glad that it ultimately worked out. And even though I tried to make sure that I've got enough yarn for enough sweater quantity yarn, but with this one it was an impromptu idea. I had used the yarn for the Nandi top last year, so this was just some leftovers that I started working it to see if it was going to work out. I wasn't sure if I was going to pull off a colorwork pattern with some 100% cotton, so I was glad when it worked out. And I realized that of course I didn't have enough yarn, but going forward I don't think I'll mess around with these off-white colors and assume that it's going to work out. So that's the orange groove top, and then the next one is the Dambisa top. So this is my favorite summer top right now. I honestly didn't expect it to come out the way it did. It looks so good, and it's been a while since I knit some fingering weight garments, and it, you know, after not knitting them for a while, you start appreciating the drape of the garments. So as you can see, it's so light and drapey, and it's flared on the sides. So it really is a very relaxed fit, and I'm looking forward to some warm weather to wear this. It works well with jeans, with some regular pants, with linen pants, everything. I've tried it on with everything, and it works just fine. So I used nurturing fibers on this one as well, and it's super twist sock, and the color is driftwood. So as you can see, it's a brownish gray or a grayish brown. It depends on what you see more, well, the gray or the brown, but it is a brownish gray, a grayish brown. I love it, and I love that it's a very neutral and very desaturated color, so I can wear it with any pants, blue, black, anything. It really works out just fine. So those are all the tops that I have launched. So the orange groove top and the Dambisa top are currently 20% off. So I'll be publishing this video as soon as I'm done today. So it will still be 20% off for the next couple of hours. You don't need to use any coupon code, it's already applied. So if you're interested in any one of those two, this is the best time to grab a copy. They're also available on Ravelry and Etsy, by the way. That's where most of my patterns are. I still have my older patterns on Love Crafts, but it's been quite a mission to update stuff and put some stuff there, because I don't know whether people really see some items or not, because sometimes it's like, you know, no one goes on the website. So I'm still thinking whether I should update and add some more stuff or not. The next item that I'm going to show you is about to go on testing. This is the Lilita top. I'll also put some pictures as well. I love this top. Honestly, I didn't think it was going to turn out this great. This is how it looks. So at the back is this textured stitch, and then at the front is the same textured stitch, and then this cable. I've used this cable on the Lilita socks and the Lilita shawl. It's a one skein shawl. So what I can say is I love this, and it not just works as a top, you can also wear it as a vest on top of another shirt or something if you'd like to do that. It works just fine. That's why I made the neckline more scooped, because I wanted to have that option, so that even if you're wearing a collared shirt, you can still wear it over that shirt and it will look just fine. So for this pattern, I was using Concept by Katia, and this is the cotton cashmere, and the color is, I think it's number 66. I'm not so sure, but I'll include the information. Anyway, you know, one interesting thing that I noticed when I was knitting this top is that the yarn, unlike wool that wants to stick together, the yarn just wanted to come apart. So I think when you're working with this type of yarn in particular, it's best to really work with some smaller needles. So I used 3.5 millimeter needles for this top, and for the ribbing I was on 3 millimeter needles, I think, or 3.25. I'll have to check on my notes. But it really is a struggle to get the stitches to kind of stick together, and the stitch definition is amazing. Let me just bring this closer. The stitch definition is amazing on this yarn. It's a fingering weight yarn, but it's a bit thicker. Maybe it's closer to sport weight. Probably they call it fingering, but it's kind of thicker than the other fingering weight that I've shown here. So it's a quick and easy one to knit. I think once you've done the back and the front, which isn't really much knitting because of the scooped neck, then you just work on the body in the round all the way down. So with summer yarns, I do not use the tubular cast on or bind off. I use a regular bind off, but bind off the stitches loosely, and it's still stretchy, because every time I try to do the tubular bind off or cast on, the stitches just seem to be falling apart because they don't stick together. I think it works very well with some yarn, some wool yarn, but when it comes to summer yarns, I would rather not use this type of bind off or cast on. So the other thing that I did here, I'd forgotten to mention, was to do some surface crochet on top. So as you can see, the surface crochet really gives it a more professional finish, because it covers the area where you picked up, and it gives the stitches a much smoother finish. I've used this on a number of patterns in the past, and I love how it looks. So I did that here at the neckline and on the armholes as well. So this top is going up for testing. I've put the test call on Ravelry, and I think I'll be sending it to testers on Monday or Tuesday. So if you're interested in testing this pattern, you can reach out on my DMs on Instagram and just send me your email address and your Ravelry username. I'll respond to you there, but that will have to be before Tuesday midday, somewhere there. Then beyond that, I think I will be sending out the pattern to the testers. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to talk about is the biggest project I was working on this year, and it didn't work out as I expected or planned, so I have to put it on hold. Let me just show you what I'm talking about, and then we can take it from there. So I'm talking about the dress. Oh, it's the Zimkita dress. Yeah, I knew I'd given it a name already. It's the Zimkita dress. So as you can see with the dress, I've done the same thing as well. Because with these summer yarns, you just want to make sure that your work is nice and smooth. Unlike wool that just closes in the gaps and plumps out, most summer yarns can have some gaps in between. And I think when you do the surface crochet, it sort of like strengthens the fabric as well. So I love doing that with these summer projects. And of course I've done it with winter items, but it's more of a necessity with the summer yarns than with the winter items. So I knit the dress and I finished it, and I knit the pockets and I put them in, only to discover that the pockets were mid-hip. When I was trying on the dress, I had factored in, when I was working on the dress, I had factored in the positioning of the pockets by just calculating how much stretch I could get, but I was off with my calculations, because when I put on this dress, after putting in the pockets, because I was just so confident, I went on and I had to sew in the pockets. I noticed that the pockets were literally on the thighs, not where they're supposed to be, right below the waistline. So I had to pick out the pockets. Let me just show you what I'm talking about. So I had to pick out the pockets, and then I closed the section. So this is where the position of the pockets was. And then I had to close this, I had to sew this closed, and I reopened here at the top, trying to fix the dress and do some surgery. I separated the top and the bottom, and I worked from here, and I did the front and the back separately to create the opening. But when I got to joining the two pieces together, this is what I ended up with at the front. So this was messed up. I tried every joining method, and it would work on wool yarn and everything else, but the fact that this was twisted ribbing and I was trying to join to graft the two bits together, so by the time I had made a number of attempts, the yarn here looked kind of old and abused, so I had to stop. But on the other side, I hadn't even blocked the piece, but the joining line wasn't so visible. I just had to pull some stitches. So it was okay on the sides, but not here in the center. And I also didn't like that I had sewn the side. So you'll see there's a loose thread there. Please ignore it. I had sewn this part, and then the dress continues here whilst knitted in the round. And this seam is really thick. So the other challenge with using silk is that it really gets very bulky when you're knitting it double. So I wasn't happy with this either. And then at the bottom here, I had done some short rows. So I had done them to include a bit of the front, but then when I was looking at the dress, I noticed that it drops a bit on the side because of the increases that you work. So it naturally drops. So there were these weird wings on the side that I didn't like. And as I mentioned with the pocket, so I just pinned the pocket here on the side. I had worked on the pockets with double strands of yarn. So these are the pockets. So they came out really nicely. You see, they look like, you know, those pockets that you get. But the problem is when you put them in here in their slot, so as you can see, it fits really nicely. There it is. When you do a seam here, it's very thick. So I think if you're using wool or a wool blend, you'll be fine with a decay gauge on the pocket. But I've noticed that I need to use a single strand to knit the pockets. I'm happy that I had already done this, because I'll still need to include this pocket size in the instructions, the one that's knit at a decay weight gauge, because someone who's knitting with say the same yarn that I used here, the Concept by Katia, this one was cotton yak. If you're using this yarn, then you won't have any problem with a bulky fabric at all. But if you're going to be holding two strands of linen or silk or some other plant fiber, then you might have this problem of a fabric that's too thick. So as you can see, I just pinned this, so I didn't sew it down. I just wanted to show you when it's in here, but you can see that the seam that you form is really thick. So I generally do not mind it that much, but I'm just concerned that somebody else who's using the same yarn or something similar might have issues with that and will prefer a fingering weight pocket. So I'm going to knit some fingering weight pockets and write the instructions, because the instructions are literally row by row, so that you can get this weird pocket shape and the increases right. So I'll have to rewrite that. Initially, I had planned to launch this on my birthday anyway. Next year, my birthday is in February the 24th. But I kind of got excited and got carried away and started working very fast on the dress. And later on, I was thinking maybe I should just launch it now in the summer. But I'm just so glad that I'll have more time to really fix stuff, because I was no longer happy with it. And I was trying to tell myself that no, I won't wait when I'm going to some places where I need to dress up. I'll just wait, you know, when I'm at home or just going to the shops. But I realized that this is a lot of work. And if I'm going to do it, I might as well do it right, fix it. And so I'll probably unravel to the end of the pockets here and undo this seam that I had done and rework this entire section. It's about 15 or 16 inches, so that's quite a bit of some knitting, but I'll be happy to do that, and I'm hoping to get it done by December. So if I get it done by December, then end of November, actually not December, end of November, and start the test beginning of December. And if I can test it through December, January, and the first half of February, the first 3 weeks of February, so that will be quite a bit of some time. I've done some very long tests, but I've noticed that if you make the test too long, very few people finish. It's actually very disastrous. I'd rather have a flexible deadline than to make a deadline that's too long. Mostly things don't get finished because everyone kind of relaxes that there's more time to finish. So in this case, I'll do the test probably for about 12 weeks. I'll try to make sure that there's at least 12 weeks to do the test. And I think if I launch it in February, that's also going to be a good thing for anyone who's interested in knitting the dress, because there'll be plenty of time to get it ready for the summer for those that are in the northern hemisphere, and even those that are in the southern hemisphere, they'll have plenty of time to knit it before our summer here, or even our spring in September. So that's the Zimkita dress. So I thought I was done with it, but I wasn't. So I love the way this fabric looks when it's blocked. It's nice and soft, but when you're knitting it, it feels really hard, and not hard, but it feels dry. So when you block it, it gets softer, but it also grows a lot. So I think on the instructions, what I need to include is some instructions to wet block it. Don't even steam block it or try to take any shortcuts. If you're going to be including the pockets, just wet block that top part and really get it to where you want it to be before you start separating the back and the front to do the pocket openings. So I think I'll have to really emphasize that part so that no one goes through what I've had to go through with this dress. So the yarn that I'm using is by Pearl Soho. It's curtail silk, and it's 100% silk, and the color is Pearl Rose. So I've mentioned this before, that all the yarn that I use from Pearl Soho is sponsored. I didn't pay for it, so I get to design whatever I come up with this yarn. So unlike all the other years where I get to a point where I'm literally still knitting summer items even mid-August, hoping that I'll launch them before the summer is over, this year I decided not to do this to myself and start working on the fall items beginning of July. So I've been working on some, I just had to finish this top and work on some fall items. So I've got some patterns that were outstanding before I started working on the summer stuff, and I think I shot them 2 or 3 episodes ago, but I had to put them on hold to do the summer patterns. So this is one of the patterns. This is the Lisebo pullover. It's worked from the top down, and it's got these thick stripes and a thick band at the bottom. So I've finished one sleeve. So the sleeve looks very wonky compared to the body, because the body was wet blocked and the sleeve was just lightly steamed before I recorded. So the sleeve also has this pattern and some thick ripping. So this is a very simple and a lovely one, I think, to wear. I'm looking forward to this because I love fingering weight garments. I was using cowgirl blues for this project, and this color is sable. So this is the merino twist. It's the fingering weight yarn. This color is sable, and the pink one is faded rose. I'm now working on the second sleeve. I'm hoping to finish this maybe by Tuesday and get it up for testing over the weekend and just get moving on this one. I really love the drape already. I love how it fits, and I'm looking forward to wearing it now before it gets too hot. So I'll have to get the photos done soon so I can wear it before we get to the summer. Usually in the spring it can be a bit chilly sometimes, so I'll get some wear out of this. So I'm almost done with this project already. I'll have it tested soon, most probably by the end of the week. I think I'll put out a test call maybe on Wednesday or Thursday. And the other one that I'm trying to finish this week, I don't know if I can pull that off though. This is the Yarn Collective yarn is the Hudson worsted, and the color is smoke. If not, I'll put the correct name. So I'm knitting a vest with this yarn, with these cables. Sorry, my needles are too small. It's more comfortable knitting with smaller needles somehow. So the needles are smaller than the work, but if I stretch these cables out, this is how they look like. So I really love these cables. They look complicated, but they are not. At any given point, you don't cable more than 4 stitches throughout. So what I did with this pattern, because these are traveling cables, I decided to knit them flat so that you don't have to be shifting the beginning of round point. So what I did is that there's the beginning of round right here, but then when you get to the halfway mark, you kind of start the pattern as if you're working flat again. So in that way, you've got this seam in between. I don't know whether you can see it, the seam in between, and it's the same on the other side. Because if I had written these instructions to just be worked in the round, that would mean at some point you have to shift your beginning of round. You keep on shifting it so that you can have this pattern working continuously, and that can be a lot of work. And I didn't want it to be any more complicated, because the cables already look complicated even if they are not. So I didn't want the pattern to be intimidating to anyone. So this is how I worked it. So I worked this from the bottom up, because when I tried working it from the top down, I didn't like the way it looked when you joined the back and the front, because some of the stitches are kind of not 100% straight on each other. It kind of seemed off, and the writing of the pattern was going to be a bit more complicated with a lot of charts, of which I have done such designs before, but sometimes I just prefer to work on such patterns from the bottom up to make that shift much easier, because it's going to be V-neck. So I want it to just be easy for the knitter who's working on this to just do the decreases in pattern, and because you're working with an already established pattern, so you don't have to worry much about, okay, what's going to happen next, how am I going to get this to work, which stitch am I working on next, that kind of stuff that can be a concern when you're working from the top down, because you are still establishing the pattern. So in this case, it's so much easier with this bottom up construction, and I'm loving this. So I think I have about 1.5 pattern repeats to work, and then once those repeats are done, then I'll separate the back and the front, shape the armholes, and do the V-neck shaping for the front, and then use the 3 needle bind off to seam the vest at the top. So this is the next item that I'm hoping to finish soon. I don't know if I'll finish it immediately or it will also kind of lag behind. I'm still trying to gauge how much I need to do. And then the next item I want to show you is something I'm so excited about and so proud of, but it also has to go on hold for a while. I'll explain why just now. So this project is my top favorite item. The light is really reflecting badly. I don't know why. I think it's my positioning today. So this is the Kukule 2 button down shirt. So this is my first time working on a button down shirt. So initially when I was working on this, I was working with 1 strand of yarn. So I'm using my yak, baby yak. It's 100% yak. It's a lace weight yarn. And when I was working on this initially, I was just using a single strand, but I had to frog that project because I had really gone very far. I was maybe 4 to 5 inches after I had worked 4 to 5 inches after joining, the back and the fronts. But I noticed that even though I loved the fabric I was creating and I didn't mind working on it, I was knitting on 3mm needles. And even though this is a lace weight yarn, it's because it's kind of fluffy and everything, so it doesn't really feel that thin. But I noticed that I would have a very small window to wear the blouse. It will have to be kind of cold, but not too cold and not too warm. So there are very few days in the year that are like that. So I decided to knit the shirt with the strands head double, and this is the fabric that I'm getting, and I like this because I can wear this even on a cooler day. So it has, so I did it the way, you know, you see most of the button down shirts. At the back there is this double knit panel that runs through the middle of the back. So this is how far I've gone. Sorry, the needles are annoying. Let me put something so they don't hit the table. Yeah. So the front is done like this. It also starts off with this double knit panel here on the shoulder, and you work down, and yeah, it has a crew neck, so it's going to have a collar that you get on the shirts, and there'll be some double knitted button bands. But the one thing, and because I had initially ordered 6 skeins of yarn, I knew that I had enough to work on this, but I hadn't factored in that if I decide to change my mind, I won't have enough yarn. So now I'm only left with this yarn to work the rest of the garment, which is impossible really, because I'm still about 2 inches on the body, and it, you know, with button down shirts you can make it cropped. It has to be a normal classic length for a shirt, so I have to make it longer, maybe 15 to 16 inches depending. I'll have to keep trying it on to see what works. So I figured that there's no way I can finish this with just this yarn, so I decided to work on the sleeves first. So whenever I've got issues with the yarn and I'm not sure how much yarn I've got left, I normally prefer to work the sleeves and really gauge how much I need. It's easier to gauge for the body when you've done the sleeves than to just work through the body. You know, sleeves are so unpredictable, and I'd rather work on them. And it's a good thing I did, because I thought I was going to, because the back and the front took the first 2 skeins of yarn, but the sleeves took more than 2 skeins. I had to break into these last 2 just to get, since I had 6, I had to break into these last 2 just to finish the cuff of the sleeves. So I'm glad I did that, because I wouldn't have been able to accurately gauge. So I love the sleeves, and I love how I did them. I'll show you just now. So these are the sleeves, and and as you can see, they are lightly tapered. And here I did a bind off. Let me bring this closer. I had to bind this off. Put my hand here, and then I picked up the stitches at the back loop of the bind off row. I've done that with quite a number of designs, and I've spoken about it a bit, to create this status separation of the blouse and the cuff. So the cuff is double knitted, as you can see. This is the cuff. But my favorite part on the blouse is, wait for it, this. So it's not blocked yet, so it looks kind of wonky and offish. So I put some temporary buttons. I literally looped the thread once and tied it at the back, so they are not steady. They could fall off at any minute. But this is the placket that I like at the back. Check this out. So you can open your sleeve here. So I worked to this point of the sleeve, and I still kept that beginning of round marker because I was still continuing with the decreases still. So this is at the back of the sleeve, it's not under the arm, like, you know, with the regular shirt really. So the decreases were still continuing all the way here, but I had to start working back and forth here from this point, and then I did a bind off, and I picked up the cuff, and I did some double knitting. The cuff is super plumpy and double knitted. It's so comfortable really. These buttons are placeholders, as you can see. They don't match with the fabric. I'm hoping to get some shell buttons, you know, the ones that look like they've got 2 shades of colors. Maybe one color will be close to this off-white. This is oatmeal, by the way. The color is oatmeal. Something that will be close to this color, and here's a bit of some beige on the button that looks like shells really. So they are the ones that I'm looking for, and I'll be looking for this size. I'll go and check at the shops soon, but I'll have to put this project on hold for a while. So this is something I'm so proud of and so excited about in this shirt. because I'm only left with this yarn, and because I recently had some bad experience with some vanilla yarn, I was thinking that instead of continuing and working on the body, because that's the other option I have to continue, I'll just wait until I get the yarn. So this I ordered this yarn from a yarn shop in the United States. I don't remember the name because I had looked for it in different places because I wanted this color, and there was one shop where I found it, but I'll have to order this online, and most likely they may not have a similar dialogue to what I have. But I think I'm still looking around at different shops, because when I order, I just don't want to order 2 skeins of yarn. I want to check out some of the items that I might need and then order more than that. I'll just check if the dialogue is the same, because I've still kept the text for this. If the dialogue is the same, I can't be continuing whilst I'm waiting for the delivery. So shipping here is a bit complicated because our post office is a total mess, but I can ship via DHL, UPS, or any other shipping companies. But then when I shop, I normally like to consolidate my packages before they ship, because I buy from different places and I might as well get things in bulk. So that's why I haven't ordered this yarn yet. I'm still looking at other options and other things that I want to buy that I'll be knitting for the winter. Then I'll probably have to order before the end of this week. So it will take maybe 2 more weeks for me to get my package. So I'll only be able to continue with this blouse towards the end of the month. So it's a bit of a challenge there in terms of finishing up. But I think I'll just get in touch with the shop and check what their dialogue is. If it's the same as this, then I'll definitely be able to continue in the meantime. But if not, I don't want to take chances, because I won't want to have some line forming in my work. This is some very, okay, it's not very expensive, but it is quite expensive, seeing I'm shipping it here and paying taxes for it. So I want this garment to come out nicely. So that's what I'm going to do. I'll have to put it on hold, so that if I buy the 2 skeins, I'll hold one with this, one new skein with this existing one, and the other new skein with this existing one. So even if there are differences, it's going to get mulled a bit. It won't be too drastic if compared to if I was to hold these 2 together and hold the 2 new ones of a different dialogue together. So I'll just have to put this on hold. But I'm so excited with this. I just need to block this because this hasn't been blocked. I was tempted to block it, but I didn't. I just need to continue working and finish. But I'm so excited about this. They really are an interesting design feature. It was a learning curve for me as well, and I loved working on them. And one other thing I can say is this yarn is so nice to knit with, you know, particularly when you're holding it double. It's this fluffy, cloudy yarn, and that was really my intention with this button down shirt. I wanted it to have that fluffy, cozy finish, and it's turning out as well as I expected. And then the last thing on my needles that I'll be working on is soon, because it's currently something that I carry around when I'm moving because it's still small, is this. I started it last in January. I haven't worked on this for quite a while, but lately I've been picking it up whenever I leave the house. This is going to be a sort of like a wrap cardigan. This is how it looks. So this is the back. I started here at the top and I'm increasing, so I'll pick up the stitches here for the fronts. I'm sure you've seen this type of construction before. So it's going to be a wrap cardigan, so it's going to go this way on one side and that way, and it's going to have some ties on the one end. I'm using African Expressions Harmony. It's an iron weight yarn and the color is 2062. And I think I've shown this before. I've got a big cone of this yarn, and of course I've broken out what I thought I was going to need just for the back and at least one front. I couldn't carry around a cone. I don't know if other people can knit off a cone, but I can't, because I sometimes carry my work around, and as much as a cone is convenient to have no ties, but you know, when you're working on these garments, either way you're going to have to break yarn at some point. So I try to make sure that I have enough to work on whatever section I'm working on without breaking the yarn. So Initially I wanted to finish the vest and the lisebo striped pullover just this week, and then start working on this from the next week, because I just want to have at least 3 projects on my needles. So right now I'm thinking of just focusing on these 2 until I finish them, and then I'll move on to this. I'll see if I can actually be able to pull that off. Then I'll move on to this. This will be the only garment I'm working on, and then I'll be working on some socks. This color is so bright. So this is Coop Knits, I think that's the name of the brand, and it's socks here, and the color is Agon. So it's a very bright orange. I don't even think you can see it properly. It's a very bright orange, and I'm going to knit some socks with cables. So I want them to pop and be bright. I really love bright socks. I think ever since I started knitting socks, I've knit most of my socks in bright colors. There are a few that are neutral, but most of my socks have been bright, because if you've seen everything that I've shown you, you've noticed that everything is very neutral. So I love including some pops of color in my socks or in my one skein shawls. And the last item that I want to show that I'm excited about, and it's a project that I would love to be working on, is this Super Bowl Crazy, and my favorite color, Domino. I've used this color for so many projects. I've used it for the diamond work shawl and the diamond work socks, and I've got another pair of socks, the pond socks. They also had this color, and this, I had used those 2 together. So this time around I'll be using this yarn for a single skein shawl. I've swatched it and I'm so excited about it. And honestly, if there's anything that's keeping me awake, and I feel like I'm punishing myself by not casting this on. So maybe if I finish the sleeve of this pullover, I'll end up casting this on just to give myself some peace a little bit, because I haven't thought of anything else other than this project that I want to start on. So I'm hoping that by the next time I record a podcast episode, I'll have started this project. It's going to be a fun one to knit. It's all about the yarn. It's all about showcasing the yarn. So with some projects, it's about the stitch work. It's about what ideas we come up with. But on this particular one, it's all about the yarn. It's all about showing off how beautiful the yarn is, how the colors change. And I am super excited about this. I can't really stop thinking about it. Honestly, the more I talk about it, the more I realize that I might even end up casting this on tonight, just to get it off my system, because it's haunting me when I'm not working on it. So that's all that I have on my needles and all that I'll be working on right now. I've still got some pullovers and some cardigans that I want to work on. I'll be sharing that as I go on with some more episodes, but I'm so excited to be back on the winter items. I don't know what the issue was for me this year, but I wasn't really keen on my summer designs. There's one that I started and I didn't get very far on, because I realized that I was not going to finish it anyway. It's green, and I think I've got it somewhere here. Just let me get it and see. Okay, so here is the green top. I was excited about starting on it. I think on the last episode I had spoken about it, but once I started, I wasn't sure if I wanted to continue. Okay, the issue wasn't whether I was excited about it or not, but I realized that I do not have much time, because it was towards the end of July and I still had to, no, end of June, I had to finish stuff. And this is a light fingering weight, and I had started the stitch pattern. As you can see, this yarn has got some nice sheen. It's African Expressions Soul, and I'm not sure of the color code, because all their colors have got a code. But I really loved this. As you can see, it was going to have a boat neck. This is how it looks. It's got this zigzag stitch. So because of the sheen on the yarn, I just love the way the stockinette stitches pop up and shine. I really wanted to work on this, but realistically there's no way I would have finished it, tested it and launched it before we were in the middle of fall or close to winter. in the Northern Hemisphere. As I've mentioned before, I launch my patterns based on the Northern Hemisphere schedule, even though I live in the Southern Hemisphere, because most of the people that knit my patterns are in the Northern Hemisphere. And I've tried doing it, I didn't even try doing it the other way around. I tried working with my seasons when I first started, and launching hats and cowls and all sorts of things back then wasn't even really working out so well. So I ended up deciding to work with the Northern Hemisphere schedule, given that most people that knit my patterns are in the Northern Hemisphere. And it works so well for me here because I get to knit all my summer items in the winter. So when we get to summer, I've got stuff to wear. And then you'll notice that I'm now working on the fall and the winter items. And one good thing about our climate is that I can still wear these almost throughout the year, because September tends to be a bit cold, even though we'll be getting into spring, and October, November, December is hot. But our climate is the savanna climate. So when it's hot, that's when we get the rains, and then when it rains, it gets chilly and cold, so that you actually need something warm to wear. So at the end of the day, I'll still be able to wear this even in the spring. So I think really knitting seasonally is not that much of a big deal. You can knit at any time of the year. And one thing I noticed this winter that I realized I needed in my life were more off-white garments. I noticed that I didn't have so many of those, and sometimes you've got some other colors going on and you don't have enough white items to wear, and I needed that. So this year I'll be focusing on those light colors. I think I'll knit quite a number of items in those light colors, just to get my wardrobe more balanced, my knitted wardrobe more balanced. But I'm excited about this, but more than anything, I'm super excited about the show I'm going to design on this. So the next time I record, it will definitely be on my needles, and I hope you'll also love it as much as I do. This yarn is probably available in so many countries, and even here in South Africa. I ordered this from the shop Be Inspired Africa. It's owned by Chantel, and they've got some great service. I got this, I ordered this on an afternoon, and 2 days later I had received it, so it was very fast. And so even if you're in South Africa, you can get this yarn locally. She's got quite a number of colors, and internationally, of course, it's available in so many places. I've seen it in so many yarn shops. So it's an easily accessible yarn, and it's more than 400 meters long. So it's ideal for single skein projects because you get a lot out of the yarn. So like I said, it's the Super Bowl Crazy, and this color is Domino. So I'm so excited about this. I hope to see you soon, and I'll be sharing some new stuff soon. Thank you so much for watching.